Welcome to this installment of the After the Opening Credits podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next, joined by my illustrious co-host.
It's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna, and I don't have the Peaky Blinders cap on, but I got a cap on, so I'm gonna tip the cap because we're gonna be talking spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, for the Immortal Man. But before we jump right into those spoilers, I'm gonna toss it over to my brother. Please tell him what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, like always, you can catch the cast on YouTube. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, you already know. Now, just to jump right into the spoilers for this movie, what is the first thing that you want to spoil for our attending audience, my brother?
Well, we'll just rip the Band-Aid off, jump right into it. Man, this movie was lacking some author. It was lacking Paul Anderson. And unfortunately, Paul Anderson couldn't make the film, ran into some legal troubles. He caught some charges at the end of the day. And, Cillian Murphy is on he's on a tight schedule. The guy's a busy man. Netflix is also a busy company. So I guess, they couldn't really accommodate for Paul Anderson, unfortunately, so they had to unfortunately move on. That being said, I didn't really like the way they kind of wrote him off. Since it was a movie, they had to really condense everything, and Tommy was holding some guilt because his brother passed, but then we find the real story out that he ended up killing his brother. It just lacked a lot of things. I don't know. It just lacked that oomph or that punch or that, I don't know. It wasn't sitting well with me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. On top of the PTSD, they also mentioned the alcohol that was in his system when he went to attack Arthur because Arthur, I think, had taken his vehicle. But I'm 100% with you. I thought the way he was written off was poorly done, to be frank with you. I didn't like it at all. Arthur is such an integral part to this story and kind of the lifeline in a lot of ways to Tommy because he is the older brother. He's also the most complex character in the series, which tends to, be my favorite as well as I would think the audience's favorite as well because, the most complex character usually has the most issues, the most real life issues.
Him missing, definitely, you feel it in here. He's one of my favorite characters outside of, the main character and Alfie Solomons, who's played by Tom Hardy.
I also think Arthur missing from the movie didn't help with the execution of Thomas Shelby returning back to the Peaky Blinders because that's a kind of a situation with Tommy going on the hiatus where Arthur would be his only lifeline to actually wanting to return back to the garrison and the Peaky Blinders group.
Yeah, it made the reunion or the get together of the group feel a little lackluster. It felt a little empty.
Correct. And without Arthur there, I felt like the writers were forced to play on the subconscious and Tommy's PTSD and his guilt to move the plot along so Tommy can be reunited with his son.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a little more intricate if they used Arthur as a pivot point. But, since he wasn't there, they used Rebecca Ferguson, who is the twin sister of the woman who Tommy Shelby banged.
It was the twin sister of the girl that Tommy duked to get Duke.
Yeah, who he also duked.
How did you feel about Rebecca Ferguson's role and what she was in this movie?
Well, she definitely was the pivot. They definitely used her for a lot of exposition, a lot of explaining, hey, this is what's been happening. More of the motivating factor to get Tommy to, back to Birmingham, back to his son, back into the thick of things.
Correct. And all it took was Rebecca Ferguson laying down with this man.
Well, listen, you can't have a Peaky Blinders film without, Thomas Shelby getting some action. You know what I'm saying?
He always gets all the action.
Always gets all the action. Even if he's banging the twin sister of his dead former lover. I don't know. But that being said, Rebecca Ferguson, great actress. I think she killed it in the role. She really, nailed that Polly-esque kind of missing factor that, the show kind of was kind of built on,
Yes, Rebecca Ferguson stepping right into the role and a suitable replacement for the Polly Gray, who unfortunately passed away between seasons 5 and 6. Offset as well, too. In real life, she actually passed away.
Yeah, Helen McCroy.
I thought she hit the hammer right on the head. I'm a huge fan of her work prior to this film. And speaking of newer actors, we could also jump right into Barry Cohegan, who you know, is the son of Thomas Shelby in this movie, who wasn't cast in the original show, but was the grown-up version of Duke, who was introduced in the later seasons of the show.
And unfortunately, the lack of screen time kind of hurts the development of Duke, in my opinion. I think, you know, he's an interesting character that probably could have been fleshed out just a little more, but it's a movie. They had time constraints, so they had to do what they could with what they had, right?
Correct. And if you saw the spoiler-free podcast that we did on this film, that was one of the cons that we mentioned. The film format hurt this film. It hurt the character development. It hurt the more climatic points of this movie. And to be frank, one of the more climatic points that suffered because of the film format was Ada's death.
Yeah. Ada's death would have served better as like a very dramatic mid-season finale cliffhanger, you know, deserving of its own episode and build-up. Because even in the film, I think they do their best job to make it intense. But after the death, they kind of just move along.
Right.
And it kind of just felt like there wasn't enough time or like mourning. Like I wanted to like really soak in that despair.
Correct. And I also think that took away from Tim Roth's character, right? It took away from how devious you looked at him.
Yeah. Tim Roth didn't feel as devious as like, you know, previous villains. And like Ada's death didn't feel as like dramatic or as impactful, or like, it didn't feel like a turning point. It almost felt like, oh, she dead. Now we move on.
Correct.
You know, it kind of just felt like a turning of the page.
Yeah, 100% correct. And I think that's the predominantly big con about this movie. Now, considering the fact that Netflix has pretty much announced that they will be coming out with a second installment of the Peaky Blinders with Barry Cohegan as the lead, I completely understand why it was done like this, but it's a little unclimatic for the death of Tommy Shelby, who we've grown to love across 6 seasons, right? So
yeah, his death, listen, I think they did it right. I think they did it proper. It just felt a little, you know, a glass half empty. The movie's called The Immortal Man, and I think that's, you know, done on purpose because it's his legacy that lives on, right?
Correct.
But again, in a season, I think it would have hammered it home a little more. But I love the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more I keep thinking about it, the more I don't hate it. I just wish it was longer. That's probably my only issue. I know it sounds like we're doing a whole bunch of like word jitsu here, but it pretty much just boils down to, I just wish there was more.
This is one of those movies that would have benefited from another hour.
Or season.
You know, so yeah, I'm 100% with you. But I guess with all that said, do you have any other closing points before we wrap this podcast up?
No, I think we pretty much summarized what our general feelings. Like I said, I didn't hate the movie. And it's one of those movies where, you know, the more I think about it, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it. I think they did their best with the, you know, the time constraint, with the movie format to really put a solid ending on, you know, Tommy's story. It's not like, you know, we're watching Dexter and they don't know what to do, so they just keep coming out with new series because, spoiler alert, the man is dead. Then he's not dead. Then he's not dead again. But he's back again. They don't know what to do with the man.
Correct. And considering some of the unfortunate legal circumstances of Paul Anderson, I feel like they did the best that they could with this film.
Yeah, I don't think the movie was a home run, but they definitely drove a couple of runs in.
They hit a double.
Yeah, they hit a double. They got some points on the board. They won the game at the end of the day.
And considering that Netflix has announced that they're going to be doing a spin-off series for this, I'm completely fine with this. It's the story continues, right? And the show was a knockout the first time around. I feel as long as they keep a lot of the same staff on, they should be able to knock this spin-off out the park. And with that said, I think that just about wraps up this spoiler-filled episode. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and TikTok.
If you're enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, like always, you can catch the main cast on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, you already know. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. Please drop some comments for stuff that we did not talk about in this film. There is a ton to cover, so we welcome all of it. Good, bad. If you didn't like this episode, let us know why. If you love this episode, let us know why.
If we missed something, or if you disagree, or if you agree, hey, let us know. Because I'm pretty sure, you know, we try to keep it nice and tight. So, you know, there are probably some things we glossed over.
Yeah, and if we didn't discuss that, please drop them in the comments and we'll be sure to respond to you as soon as possible. But love you guys. Holla at you guys. See you for the next film, and hopefully we will be talking very soon about the spin-off series that will be coming to Netflix, hopefully not by the year 2030. So Enjoy The Immortal Man. It's a good watch, particularly if you watch the first 6 seasons of Peaky Blinders. If you did it, you messed up. We alerted you guys. It's on the, the episode description, but it is what it is. Follow us for more content. You already know. Love you guys. Enjoy the movie. Later. Peace. Bye.